As we head towards the Bahrain Grand Prix, the FIA have officially announced in this Thursday press conference that new regulation changes will be enforced from next season. The FIA have concluded, along with the teams, that they are to slow down the cars significantly as they believe that the cars at the moment are creating too much hazard risks, especially if there was to be a high-speed incident. Now, in towards this Bahrain Grand Prix, there have been many discussions made about whether the regulation changes needed to be adjusted. These super lightweight cars are becoming extremely fast, and some of the speeds taken through the corners are extremely fast. Now, in fairness, these cars are very heavily planted to the circuit, and losing the back end of the car at high speed is something that won't be a driver error. But of course, there can be that mechanical risk, and that's something that the teams do not want. They do fear, along with the FIA, that if there is to be a big crash on circuit, it could definitely very much injure the driver, maybe even be fatal. Therefore, it has been discussed that the chassis weight, minimum weight regulation has now been adjusted for next season, meaning the cars will be heavier than they have been. Toto Wolff and Zak Brown are happy to see these changes made and believe it's a long time coming, as these new lightweight cars are certainly causing a little bit of controversy within the paddock. But it wasn't just them that were happy, as most of the teams were satisfied. A team that wasn't satisfied and actually lost in the vote in order to decide whether these regulation changes took place or not was Renault. Renault believed that these new cars were actually absolutely fine and that we've not seen any of these high-speed crashes before, and that everything that the teams have done with the crash structure and the halo devices would be enough to save a driver if they were to be involved in a high-speed collision. However, they have lost the vote, and it's something that they're really unhappy for. So next season, we're expecting to see some regulation changes and these cars to be slowed down a little bit. Taking a look then at the race news for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, it was McLaren that impressed in practice, not Audi for a change. Mercedes-Benz have brought a range of new updates to their car in order to help them throughout this season. Mercedes-Benz have been struggling for the start of the season and even in pre-season with reliability on their car. These updates are set to try and mitigate all of the problems, as they believe they have found all of the issues that have been causing lots of technical problems for both Lewis Hamilton and Sebastian Vettel. Within this though, there have been a few minor performance updates, and Mercedes-Benz expect to be a little bit closer towards the front three teams, but for now they're not expecting to be challenging them. They just feel that they've found themselves maybe a 10th or two. Now, having a look at some other drivers then, Carlos Sainz is much happier with his Ferrari into this weekend, as Ferrari bring a very small update to this Grand Prix circuit. Red Bull, though, are a team that are suffering, especially on the straights. The BMW power unit is very much struggling to provide the performance that Red Bull are after, and it looks like they might be in trouble when everyone activates the DRS. Audi are unhappy with the pace of their car, and for the first time this season expected to be on their back foot this weekend, which could provide an opportunity for either Jaguar to continue their winning form or to allow McLaren, who seems to be the fastest in practice, to capitalise on this. But no matter what, it looks like Audi are going to have to play catch up. Let's see how they get on for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Hey, what's going on, guys? It is Foxydude here, and welcome back to a brand new episode of the F1 journey for you guys today here on the channel. We are here for round number 4 of season number 7 here for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, a track which I traditionally go well at versus the AIs. It's definitely an easier circuit to face the AIs at, and I'm really looking forward to today's Grand Prix. If you end up enjoying today's video, feel free to drop it a like and subscribe to the channel if you're new around here as well. The more of you guys that interact by liking the videos, the better it is for the YouTube algorithm, and it will help push my videos out there more. So if you really want to help and try and support me and help me grow again, then be sure to drop a like, as it really does make a big difference. Now, as you can see then, we're going into our first lap in qualifying. We actually got held up by one of the McLarens for the entirety of our final sector there. We actually ended up damaging our front wing end plate there on the back end. So, obviously, we had to just compromise with a very bad lap. So we're down in P18 now. But we're going to go right on board here for a full lap. So we opened up the DRS on the start-finish straight. And now we're going through here in towards the end of the first sector now. We're only a couple of hundredths up on our previous best time, but that's not where we lost all of our time. Of course, we lost it in the final sector. Probably took a bit too much curb through the second chicane there, but it's absolutely fine. Back end slides on the exit there. That's really not going to help us. That's actually going to compromise our run all the way down to the very end of this back straight there. So not a very good lap so far, but nonetheless, though, we are still a 10th of a second up. So at least we're finding some form of time now as we brake nice and late in towards this lovely little chicane here, which can really catch you out if you don't get it right. And on that occasion, we got it absolutely spot on and found ourselves a good 0.3 of a second there, putting us 0.4 of a second up on our previous best lap as we now go through in towards the triple chicane here now, taking the left, then the right, then the left, trying to make sure you carry your speed. We go very wide on the exit though, and that unfortunately makes us miss our apex there. So despite that, we still found some time, because of course this was the point all the way here that we were held up by Ricciardo, I think it was, on our lap. But yeah, we definitely could have found a lot more time through there if we definitely got through there. And the back end slides again on the exit. We're really pushing hard on this lap to give it everything we got. The tyres probably screaming at this point now as we're over a second faster than our previous best lap. Around the final corner then, and across the start-finish line for second place. Here we go then, it is time for round number 4 of the Formula 1 season, here for part number 2 of the double desert header, here for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix at the Yas Marina circuit. The skies are clear, so we should not be expecting any rain at all. As you can see, it is very warm this evening in our transition from twilight to night. The 3.451 mile circuit on paper looks like a very good circuit in terms of overtaking, but with that final sector being very tight and twisty, it turns out it's not so easy to overtake on this track, so it means that following cars is going to be difficult. Will that be an issue today? Well, we'll just have to wait and find out. Soft, medium and hard compound tyres, not expecting to use the wet weather compound tyres at all, which does mean that strategy is going to be important, with the medium compound tyres going to be one of the most effective tyres around this circuit. Whether you risk it on the soft compound tyres or go to the hards, that's up to you. Taking a look at the starting grid though for today's race, let's see how it all panned out. Reese is on pole position ahead of ourselves, alongside of him on the front row of the grid. It's our best qualifying session of the season so far. Daniel Ricciardo starts the race in third for the second McLaren, with Lewis Hamilton in P4. Sam is the first of the Jaguars in P5, with the second for the Mercedes and Vettel lining up 6th on the grid. It's been 2 front row lockouts in a row for Leclerc and Russell, but this time around it's only good enough for 7th and 8th. Carlos Sainz, my teammate, gets into the top 10 for the first time this season. He starts P9, Norris is P10. It's the 2 Dutchmen then on next, with the Verstappen in 11th and De Vries in 12th. Then it's 2 French drivers, with Pierre Gasly in the Ford and Esteban Ocon in the Renault. Next up then is Sergio Perez in P15, Valtteri Bottas getting out-qualified by Esteban Ocon. He's in P16. Nico Hulkenberg is P17 ahead of Noah James, who is in P18. And then it's Pascal Wehrlein in P19 and Mason Moore in P20, rounding off the grid. Alright then, we're here on the grid then to start the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. We're going to be doing a 2-stop strategy, but we're going to be doing the softs to the mediums, back to the soft compound tyres. I really like doing soft, medium, soft in this game. It really does help, especially in the final stint on the soft compound tyres. You're just absolutely flying. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We're on the front row then of the grid for the first time actually in the Ferrari. So here we go then. It is 4, now 5 red lights, and it is going to be lights out, and away we go then for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. It's a good start from us off the line, and we get straight away in front of Reese into the first corner. Down the inside we go, a little bit dodgy there on turning, but Reese gets a fabulous exit now through the second corner, but in towards turn 3, hold the inside line, and we're in front of Reese. Ricciardo now trying to find a way through, but we'll cover the middle of the circuit now in towards the chicane, into the first sector now. We are clear of the 2 McLarens as we break in towards the hairpin and get onto the back straight now. Got to get a good exit out of here. We've saved up plenty of ERS now to burn on the back straight, and we've got a big gap now already in front of our rivals as we go down onto this straight now, literally foot flat to the floor as we wait for the braking zone as the track starts to narrow itself inwards as we break at the 100-meter board for this corner. And then as we go through in towards the next corner, we are through in one piece. Not having to use that much ERS actually, which is a bit of a bonus for us now, as we've got a yellow flag in the background, so someone's had a little bit of an issue there. But for us though, it's a brilliant start, and as you can see, we're now breaking in towards the triple chicane now, a little bit wide for the first corner, but that's alright. We can sort of set ourselves back up again for the second set of corners now. And as you can see, back end slides a little bit more through there, but as we now go through in towards the hotel section here, we're in absolutely fine form now as we go through. As Ricciardo now makes a huge dive bomb there on ourselves. We get hit off the circuit, and we go back in front of Daniel Ricciardo into the hotel section, but crucially, we've actually been told by the game that we've got to give the place back to Daniel Ricciardo for an illegal overtake. So despite being hit off the circuit by Daniel Ricciardo from a wild dive bomb there, we were forced to give the place back. Otherwise, we would have gotten a 5-second time penalty for not obeying by the track limit rules there. So a really harsh run then as Ricciardo went for a super late dive there down towards the hotel section, but Ricciardo leads the Grand Prix. We're now in second place. Reese is all over the back of me here in third place. Now, Reese might just go for it here in towards the chicane, but we actually break a little bit later than Reese, and we're okay on that front. We survived the attack from Reese, but Ricciardo now has snatched the race lead here. We're going to have a look at the race start, though, and see how it all panned out. So as the lights go out here, we're going to get the better start out of myself and Reese here, and we're going to get in front of him immediately. Ricciardo has to sit and wait behind, but luckily for Ricciardo, Reese tries to go for it just there on the outside of T1. I go wide. That loses Reese. That gives Reese the opportunity to attack. I force him wide and say no thank you. And that allows Daniel Ricciardo then, because I'm pretty much blocking the middle of the circuit and the outside line is just better. This is on board my teammate Carlos Sainz now here. So Sainz actually got a better start here than one of the Audis. I think it's George Russell that he's jumped into the first corner, but Russell comes back at him in towards the second part of turn 1. But eventually, Sainz is going to hold on to the position. Russell is still alongside him. You can just see if you look in the mirror, and also me changing the cameras there. Russell, though, gets a nice run now down in towards chicane here. This is a good little scrap here between Sainz and also George Russell. Of course, we made our first upgrades heading into this round, so it definitely has helped us out here. And this is on board with Lando Norris now. This is his start. Immediately off the lights go out, straight away trying to attack the inside of the circuit, but it doesn't actually go well to him. Verstappen gets a better start. So too does the Aston Martin of De Vries. Some contact there between De Vries and Norris, but Norris gets away unscathed in terms of his front wing. But now he's side by side here with Nick De Vries down the straight. De Vries actually got a better run in the Aston Martin, but Norris is going to break a little bit later. He can super around the outside here. He'll have the inside line, but then of course it's going to cost him for the next part of the chicane here. Now onto lap 3 of the Grand Prix. DRS has just been enabled, and George Russell under pressure from my teammate Sainz now, who's probably loving the fact that he can fight a little bit further up the field. We haven't got our engine upgrades here in Abu Dhabi, but we have brought ourselves a chassis weight reduction to this event, and also a little bit of work has gone into the aero department. So we're definitely a lot faster through the corners, but unfortunately, as you can see, we're just not quite quick enough yet in a straight line to really mount an attack, especially on the Audis, who are one of the fastest teams in a straight line on the grid. Lap 5 of the Grand Prix now. We're still holding on to Daniel Ricciardo. He's about 2 seconds up the road. You can just see him there, but unfortunately for me, we still got Reese very much all over the back of us, and we get a bit of a messy chicane through there, and that's given Reese a perfect opportunity. Reese then and myself making a tiny bit of contact, I think, on the exit there. That's really hurt Reese now on exit, and he's going to have Sam and Lewis Hamilton all over the back of him now as we go onto the back straight here. Reese now gets a nice run, though. He's going to have the subhuman DRS on myself, though. Now towards the chicane here, we're going to have to break a little bit late, defend the outside line versus Reese, and we do that, going towards the inside line now. So again, trying to make sure that we cover that one off, but Reese will have a second bite at the DRS now on this back straight, and all the time this is going on, Daniel Ricciardo out front is pulling away now. Reese goes to the inside line. Will Reese make this move stick and take second place? He does so, but we'll switch back on Reese now into the triple chicane and force him wide and retake the position and maintain second place in this Grand Prix. But crucially, after being about, let's say, 2 seconds or so behind Daniel Ricciardo, we're a good 3, maybe even 4 seconds now behind Daniel Ricciardo from all of our squabbling, and that's really not helpful. And at this stage of the race, I'm really much struggling on my soft compound tyres, so I've taken the decision to box early for a set of my medium compound tyres. Get away from all this traffic as we get very close to the wall there on the entry. But you can see the tyre there, it was on 101 degrees, and obviously we were not really going too fast for that corner, so we were definitely struggling with tyre temperature. So the best thing to do is just box, get off those soft compound tyres, get a fresh set of these medium compound tyres on, and we shouldn't really have a problem with the tyre wear. It's quite weird when you're doing this type of modding. I left the tyre temperature stuff alone because it adds a little bit of an extra thing for it, but on this mod that I've made, if you're running the soft compound tyres, you will suffer from tyre temperature. If you run the mediums and the hards, the tyre temperature is not really an issue. So we'll run on these medium compound tyres, and then we can pit for the softs later on the end of the Grand Prix, because we'll have a lot less fuel in the car. So the car will automatically be lighter and faster as we're on board here with Daniel Ricciardo, the net race leader. He's actually pitted for his set of medium compound tyres now, and he's making his way past Noah James here in the Ford car, and Ricciardo gets through nice and easily on him, and you can see that's us there in the Ferrari. So we've closed a little bit of time up to Ricciardo, but not too much. Lap 12 of the Grand Prix now, and we're back up into second place, so there wasn't really any traffic for us to negotiate in the first stint there. It was a bit plain sailing for us, but now we've got Reese, who I actually jumped in the pit stops. Actually, no, he was behind me in the pit stops, just. But he obviously rejoin back behind us, and Reese now is on the soft compound tyres. He's gone a different way to myself and Ricciardo, and Reese now goes down the inside in towards chicane. On this occasion, I decided not to fight it, and I decided to let Reese have the position. There was no point in scrapping away with Reese, who's on those soft tyres. If he's got the pace and he can hold on against Daniel Ricciardo, then it allows me to close up to the leaders as long as I can keep up with Reese. At the moment, the McLarens seem to have the pace around Abu Dhabi, and that's what I'm a little bit concerned about. But Daniel Ricciardo has stopped for the medium compound tyres. I've stopped for the medium compound tyres, but Reese has gone onto the soft. So it's a little bit quite interesting to see what happens. Lando Norris now we're on board with here, and he's catching up to my teammate Sainz as Sainz goes defensive. Norris has to switch though. He was going to go to the inside line, then had to go to the outside line. Sainz as well has gone into the medium compound tyres. Norris though has gone onto the soft compound tyres. So he's going to be quicker at this stage than my teammate Sainz, who's dropping off the pack a little bit there as he's running with those medium tyres. But Lando Norris now does get in front. There's myself, Mercedes, Sam, Mercedes, Audi, and then it is also these two in there. So speaking of that little bit of trainer cars, we actually struggled in this middle stint. Reese has pulled away and he's catching Ricciardo. For me though, I'm just not really making any progress, and I was actually getting quite frustrated at this phase of the race that I just couldn't really get anywhere at this stage here. You can see Reese ahead is really starting to mount a challenge on Ricciardo. I've got Lewis Hamilton now, who's got DRS behind me. I've also then got Sam, who's directly behind him, and then we've got Vettel and the two Audis. So I was a little bit perplexed on what was the best thing for me to do at this stage of the race, because it was just not quite working out for me. So in the end, lap 15 of the Grand Prix to start lap 16, I've decided to pit for a set of the soft compound tyres. Or do I go into the mediums? I can't remember what I did in this stint. I might have actually changed strategy and ditched the soft compound tyre that I was going to run at the end. I'll have to look now as we box now. Yeah, we do. So we actually pit for a set of medium compound tyres. So I decided that the best option was to actually drop the strategy that I was going to do. Like, the game was telling me, do soft, soft, medium, or I was going to change and do soft, medium, soft. But my issue was, I was not having a fun time with the tyres on this on this race, sorry. So I've actually dropped all strategies and I've had to go a different way and pick harder tyres for the rest of the stint now. So we're on another set of the medium compound tyres, which have got to go 12 laps in this Grand Prix. So our first set of tyres went about 10, 11 laps. These have got to go about 12 laps. They've got to do a lap longer, but with the lighter car and fuel loads, we should be slightly better off. But unfortunately, I wasn't able to utilise a set of soft compound tyres, which is really frustrating. But tyre temperatures was definitely something that was costing me there as Gasly gets past Nick de Vries, as you can see on your screens right now. For us here, we've caught up to the back of the Ford car now of, I think this is Noah James here, that we're all over the back of here. So the US-born driver really struggling on his tyres, and now we're going to make an attack on him and get past him for a free position here. As you can see, we open up the DRS now, and we're going to do a fight past Noah James. It'll be quite easy there, as actually as there's Reese there making an overtake in front. So Reese is pitted and he's in front of us. So unfortunately, if we're going to go and get past Reese, we're going to have to overtake him on track to do so. But for now, obviously, the big focus is going to be actually getting past the traffic, because crucially now in this phase of the race, as you can see here, we've got Daniel Ricciardo, I think this is, under attack now from one of the Red Bull drivers. Or is that actually Reese that's in front? It might actually, no, it is Reese, who was being attacked by one of the Red Bulls of Verstappen. But unfortunately for Max, he actually got overtaken by the Porsche car of Pascal Wehrlein here, as we're now onto the back of Verstappen, who brakes a little bit earlier than us now. So our fresh medium compound tyres really making amends now onto the start-finish straight here with the DRS enabled. We can get through on Verstappen, have to go around the outside to make it stick, but we get it done. And now up ahead is Reese, who's attacking one of the Aston Martin cars of, I think this is De Vries now, who's having a very eventful Grand Prix in his Aston Martin, starting to really fight with the front runners here. Or is that Sergio Perez that we're going to be attacking here? It's Sergio Perez actually in the Aston Martin. Reese there in the McLaren now, making his way down the back straight here. This should be quite a simple overtake actually for Reese now, who opens up his DRS and he flies through now, and he has passed the Aston Martin of Sergio Perez and in towards the hairpin now. He can take it nice and easily and get back onto the racing line, and unfortunately for me, I'm going to have to repass that Aston Martin, but luckily it actually dove into the pits on this lap, which means that Daniel Ricciardo, who we're on board with now, has got to fight off against the second Aston Martin of Nick de Vries. So I was saying that De Vries was having a fun time. He's been scrapping with Lando Norris. Now he's scrapping with the front runners. Ricciardo now makes his way through. Has to fight a little bit more than he probably would have wanted to here. De Vries really putting up a fight here now, and that's put Reese and myself now right towards the front of this. But unfortunately, it didn't actually come to nothing because Verstappen now is, well, not having the best of time here because Sam is going to absolutely fly past him now. That BMW power unit is not the best power unit. It's actually very, very poor. In fact, the weakest on the grid. But as you can see now, we've got another scrap here as one of the Renault cars is defending against the Mercedes there as Hamilton, no, that's Vettel, is passing Ocon now. So Sebastian Vettel moves up a place, gains one on Ocon. Russell right in behind. George trying to find a way through. Russell might just make this one 3 wide and get around the outside and make a double overtake here on Ocon and Vettel. In towards the triple chicane now. Vettel loses 2 places. Ocon gains gains no places. And George Russell gains 2, so good stuff for him there. As we're on board here with Noah James now, who's got the DRS here on Max Verstappen ahead, and he's got Charles Leclerc right behind him as Noah James now goes for a move on Verstappen. Max is absolutely defenseless in this stage of the Grand Prix. Nothing he can do about the pace of the Ford, and I don't even think that Ford's made a second stop yet because he shouldn't really be up there. But as you can see now, Leclerc here does a very clever thing and gets around Noah James as Noah tries to negotiate Verstappen. It's going to be side by side though in towards this triple chicane now, and it's going to be Charles Leclerc that comes out on top. That moves him up into 5th place, I think that is now. And speaking of Noah James dropping down the order, here now comes George Russell to make it into P6 now, and James drops to 7th, although he is yet to make that second stop. As we see now here, Vettel and Hamilton having a little bit of a scrap by the looks of it now as Sebastian Vettel tries to fend off Lewis Hamilton, and unfortunately for him, it didn't work out for Hamilton, but on this lap, it might just do so as he goes around the outside of turn 1, both using the DRS, but Hamilton there gets a fantastic exit off of turn 1. Now through the tight and twisty sections here that we go now, and that's a lovely move, but Norris now here is fancying around at Sebastian Vettel, so Hamilton and Vettel squabbling here has allowed Lando Norris to get involved in on the act here. Norris now goes around the outside of Sebastian Vettel. Hamilton now's got a little bit of an advantage that he can work with. That's my teammate Sainz there behind all of that, so he's catching these 3 cars now. Vettel and Norris have got the DRS here. Norris though has got a much better power unit in the back of his Jaguar, and he is trying to catch Lewis Hamilton, but unfortunately on this straight he's not going to get it done, but he might just be able to do it on the next straight here, and that's what he's going to try and do as he now gets that DRS open, and Lewis Hamilton is going to be pretty much powerless here versus that Jaguar to make any form of a defense. And as you can see, Lando Norris gets around the outside of Lewis Hamilton. He has to scrap a little bit though through this triple chicane, but he should get it done. Hamilton there loses the rear end though on exit, and Norris is up and ahead of him. Lap 24 of the Grand Prix, and these medium compound tyres are working nicely for us. We're catching Reese now in front. We've been scrapping with my cousin all race long now. We obviously got the jump on him at the start, had a fight before the end of the first stint, which I had to box in. Then in the middle stint, we had another scrap with Reese, in which he overtook me. Now the tides have turned, and on the final few laps now, we are catching my cousin, and I want to pass him because it's satisfying. And as you can see now here, onto the end of lap 24, getting very close to the back of Reese here in towards this middle sector. And the biggest problem that I had is that the upgrades were working well. The chassis was brilliant and the aero's not too bad either, but the power unit is still not upgraded yet. The upgrades for the engine come in the next race in Canada, we hope. But this is not helping that I'm just so close to Reese in most of the lap, but the points where I need to be faster than Reese, I'm not quicker than, even with ERS and rich mixture. With the DRS wide open, I'm not close enough to make an attack. You can just see here, we're gaining, but we're just not gaining enough on the McLaren. We need the we need the Azerbaijan straight with DRS enabled for the whole lap in order to get past this McLaren. So I've really got to think now, where am I closest to Reese? Where can I go for a move and make it stick? That's the crucial thing. There's no point in me going for a half-hearted move. I've got pretty much one chance to do it. And the first place that I thought was in the entry to that triple chicane. I can get very close to Reese. So I need to start and set myself up. Use that ERS that I've got. Obviously, I'll have the DRS, and fuel is not an issue. So let's try it now. Lap 26 of the Grand Prix. Braking nice and late, down in towards this chicane now, trying to get the best entry and exit possible. And that's alright for an exit, not too bad. Now we'll use the ERS, try and burn as much as we can here. We're gaining on the back of Reese now, getting closer to my cousin now. Can we go for a move down the inside on Reese? We're just not close enough for a move that you can just see the speed. We actually make contact there with the rear of Reese's car there, and we're just not finding that extra little tenth of a second that we need. Double checking that the front wing's okay. It's absolutely fine, but this is heart-wrenching now for me here. We get a very bad exit here on this back straight. And now I'm just trying to think to myself, I'll try again in towards that triple chicane. But if not, I'm just going to have to go daring for it and just do or die, basically. As we go in towards the hairpin now, Reese then nice and easy through there. Now onto this exit. Can we get the good exit? It wasn't as good, probably, as our previous lap, but we'll give it a go now. Burning the ERS here, but unfortunately, again, just not close enough, and I've already stopped using the ERS because I just know that I'm not close enough. We're still setting personal best middle sectors, albeit with DRS, rich mixture, and slipstream, but still, yeah, we're not really getting anywhere near Reese, and now we're into crunch time here. Ricciardo still leads this Grand Prix and is currently on course to win his first race as a McLaren driver. But for us, though, we're trying to see if we can get revenge on my cousin after he's overtaken us now twice in this Grand Prix. We got the jump on the start, but crucially, he is in front of us, and I don't like it. So now, as you can see here, we've got one more lap to try something here as we get around the last corner. DRS on the start-finish right is open. Can we get racing towards turn one? We're just not close enough into the first corner, but now I've got to think, do I try and go for it on the second chicane, on the triple chicane, on the second DRS zone, or do I go for it on the back straight and burn all the ERS there? And at this point, I've realised that the only place that I haven't tried to burn all of my ERS yet to try and overtake Reese is on this back straight. So that's what we're going to do then. So we go around the hairpin now. Reese in front of us. Now we've got rich mixture and overtake. This is it now. Can we get past Reese on the last lap of the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix? We've got the DRS enabled. We've got everything that we've got to offer from our Ferrari power. We're getting closer to Reese. We'll go for it down the inside on Reese, who backs out of it. Doesn't see us coming, and we're through into second place in the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. And Sam now might just snatch a podium from all of this. He does so. Sam's got the DRS now. Reese has dropped down to fourth in all of this. It's a horrible last lap for Reese now. We've managed to gain a position out of this. Sam has managed to steal third place. Reese, it would have been a 1-2 for McLaren had it not been for our late lunge on Reese there. And we're up now into second place. And the 1-2 dream for McLaren is over. But for Daniel Ricciardo, who's going through the final three corners now, there he is on your screen there, just flicking himself through the hotel section. We're now getting through there, trying to get through in one piece. Ricciardo now is going to exit the last corner of the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. He wins his first race for McLaren, but for us though, it's second place, and that time it was on merit. For the first time this season, our Ferrari car managed to get a podium position on pure merit. In the previous two rounds in Bahrain and China, we got our podium due to the safety car saving us, but this time that was not the case as Ricciardo wins the Grand Prix. He was 3.7 seconds clear of ourselves in the end. Sam finishes in third, 4.3 seconds behind Reese, 5.1 seconds behind. Charles Leclerc and George Russell, quiet races actually for them in the Audi. They didn't perform very well around this circuit. 11 seconds behind and 12 seconds behind for George Russell. Lando Norris finishes in P7. Again, a bit of a disappointing race for Norris. Then we've got Hamilton and Vettel in the two Mercedes cars. And then for the first time this season, my teammate Carlos Sainz finds himself in the top 10 and gets his first point of the season. Daniel Ricciardo not only won the Grand Prix, but also picked up the fastest lap with a 1 minute 27.108. Looking at the second half of the table, Gasly finishing an impressive P11 for Ford, ahead of Nick de Vries in the Aston Martin, followed by Nico Hulkenberg in the first of the Porsche cars, with Sergio Perez in the second Aston Martin. Noah James, 15th place for Ford, with Valtteri Bottas 16th for Renault. Pascal Wehrlein finishes in 17th place for Porsche, with Max Verstappen in P18 for Red Bull. Mason Wood finishes in last place. Ocon is then in P19. Red Bull, though, 18th and 20th. What an awful race it was for them. Looking at the Drivers' Championship, Sam still leads the Drivers' Championship after this race. He is on 73 points. Charles Leclerc now is second in the championship with 59 points. We're now up to third in the championship with 57 points now. Reese is in P4 in the championship with 53 points. Lando Norris drops to P5. He's now on 49 points. Daniel Ricciardo, with his first win of the season, puts him up to 48 points now in the championship. George Russell in the second Audi car is up to 24 points and is starting to get some consistent point scoring finishes now. He just needs to try and get a bit more of those podiums. Sebastian Vettel is 8th in the championship with 12 points. Lewis Hamilton is P9 with 11 points. And then Max Verstappen still in the top 10, but I can't see him being there for very long with the pace of the Red Bull at the moment, in P10 with 10 points. And the next event is the Canadian Grand Prix. Into the Constructors' Championship we go, and Jaguar still lead the championship on 122 points, but crucially, McLaren are now catching them. They're on 101 points after their victory here today. Audi are on 83 points and are still a long way off considering the pace that they truly have. Ferrari, we're on 58 points now, steadily making our way through this championship in the early phases. Mercedes are on 23 points and have now dropped Red Bull by a couple of points. Red Bull are on 10 points, Ford are on 9, and then Renault have just the 1 point to their name. But let's go and have a look at the post-race notebook now and see how the teams and drivers have reacted after this crazy Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Taking a look at the post-race notebook, and it was Daniel Ricciardo that claims his first win as a McLaren driver as he managed to fight his way through the Ferrari of Tom and his teammate Rees to claim the victory in Abu Dhabi. A late attack from Tom managed to knock Rees off the podium as Tom overtook Rees for second place, and Sam managed to stay in behind and snatch P3, waiting in the wings for the issue to unfold, and he capitalised in fine style. Carlos Sainz was happy to get his first point of the season for Ferrari, but still believes that a lot needs to be done in order for him to be fully satisfied with his car. Overall, though, he is happy that the progress is definitely coming along, but it's no shadow of a doubt that Sainz wants more. Rees was absolutely gutted to have let the podium slip in the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Of course, he was running in second place for such a long period of the Grand Prix, but after Tom attacked him at the end, he just lost the concentration and the performance in the tyres to really mount a pure defence. And Mercedes-Benz finally believe that they can now start to plan their development in order to attack the leading pack. Mercedes have been focusing this first half of the season concentrating on getting the reliability sorted for their car, which we saw some upgrades come on in this Grand Prix to try and mitigate that, as well as a minor performance upgrade which was built part of the internal upgrades that they have made. Now they believe though that they can fully set them sights on Audi, Jaguar and McLaren, and even Ferrari, as of course Ferrari are making progress. But that is it for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Next time around, we head over to Montreal for the Canadian Grand Prix, and we will find out who's got the pace to take this championship fight to Sam. I'm out. Peace.